Hello.
Hey, welcome to the Mothership, the podcast where we explore the mysteries and conspiracies that surround us. In today's episode, we'll be delving into the strange world of mysterious disappearances, from pilots and planes vanishing into thin air to entire colonies vanishing without a trace. These cases have been baffling investigators for decades. So buckle up because we're about to embark on a journey into the unknown where anything can happen and the truth is often stranger than fiction. So what's up, guys? How y'all been?
Hey, man, doing great, man. How have you been?
Dude, keep it busy. There's been all this stuff in the news about UFOs in the air. Yeah, apparently they've shot down 3 of these objects that turned out to be like either spy balloons or weather balloons. We're not really sure. I know they did recover pieces of them. And as a matter of fact, I saw on the news where there was like actually one of these companies that like bragged about building these spy balloons and sending them over here. So,
Really?
yeah.
Wow, I did not hear that.
Yeah. What did you hear about that, man? Fill us in.
It was just a report I saw in the news where they were just showing like this Chinese company, like I guess they do like a meet and greet business type meeting, but one of the things they were showing was like the flight path of one of the balloons, and they were just discussing how it's just
Wow.
how easy and simple it is.
Wowzers.
Oh man. So why don't you get us started, man? What's a disappearance here that has got piqued your interest, sir?
Oh yeah, sure. I mean, shout out to everybody in chat. Let's just dive right in, man. Let's see. Whoa, that was faster than I can. So the mysterious disappearances. There's been lots of them, like throughout history, but I mean, there's just certain ones that you just can't get out of your head, or just they're weird, man. Like Roanoke, the colony of Roanoke. If you don't know about that, in the late 16th century, a group of over 100 settlers arrived on the shores of Roanoke Island to establish a new colony. But what happened is like 3 years later, they had this like resupply boat that's supposed to show up and hook them up with some supplies and everything. But when they got there was nobody there. The entire place was abandoned. They had no idea where everybody went, and the only thing they had, the only hint or clue, was the word Croatoan was carved into a post.
Yeah, it was scratched into a tree. The mayor, John White, he left, and it took a long time to cross the ocean back in those days. And they took a clipper ship back. He came back with supplies 3 years later and found it deserted. There was a whole lot of interesting stories surrounding this. There's ideas that the natives, there was a Croatoan island close by, connected to a river, and they believe that the Indians helped them move, and but that's just a theory though, because there's little anecdotes of blonde-haired, blue-eyed Indian kids, and they think that they just absorbed them into one of their tribes. But it is very, very interesting because, like, imagine if you traveled all the way across the ocean with your family, you create a whole new colony, and when you come back, it's gone. Like,
yeah,
your family
without
that you
a
left
trace
behind is gone. Yeah. Now, they did hang out and search and stuff, but they never found anything based on that. And there was all kinds of theories of disease and everything else, but they basically dismantled a whole bunch of the walls and the forts that they had, and they took it with them somewhere. Very interesting story.
Maybe to repurpose, right?
Yeah.
Ray says Bermuda Triangle. Yeah, there's actually that's exactly it. There's a lot of places where people just poof into thin air, right? You just fall off the map, so to speak.
Yeah.
But yeah, one of the stranger stories I've heard is the Sodder children. In 1945, the Sodder family house in West Virginia caught fire, and 5 of their children vanished without a trace. The fire was deemed to be the cause of the disappearance, but no remains were ever found. The family received tips and there were sightings from across the country, but none of them led to the recovery of the kids. And the strange circumstances surrounding the case include a mysterious, unexplained phone call that the family being warned to like leave the country. And there was they discovered a piece of vertebrae in the ashes at their home. Like there just tons of weird things, but like the kids are nowhere to be found.
Wow.
And
Looks
they still
like,
haven't solved it.
yeah, they had rewards out and everything, and there was no conclusion to that story.
Well, I did not realize. See, I've heard of this story, but I didn't realize that they had gotten a phone call saying that they needed to leave. Is there any way it could have been a cover to at least get their kids to safety and they would deal with whatever?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Get an outside accomplice and, have them take the kids swiftly into the night and then,
But
there was even a story where like they had somebody claimed that they had found one of the kids, and they went to they even traveled to go see this person, and they even thought for a moment that they found their long lost child. But
wow,
there's all kinds of weirdness behind it. It's a long story with lots of twists and turns in it.
Well, straight up, I'm going to give you guys some horrible number statistics here. At least in the United States, there's at least 600,000 people that go missing each year, meaning poof into nowhere. 600,000
and
a year.
That's any circumstance.
Yes.
It's not just paranormal circumstances.
Right, correct. Now, I'm not saying that 600,000 people go missing and nobody knows what happened to them, but that's 600,000 people a year from all kinds of things: animal predation, getting lost in the woods, all kinds of things. But the interesting number, though, is only 4,400 unidentified bodies are recovered a year. So that leaves a big gap.
Yeah.
That leaves a huge gap. And some of these aren't as paranormal, but like Malaysia Air Flight 370. I'm probably saying that awfully wrong. Malaysia Airlines Flight 370. That flight, they had it on CNN and MSNBC for like, I don't know, 3 weeks straight. Like it was round the clock news of, hey, have you found the plane? No plane.
Right. Not only that, but they didn't even find the wreckage.
No. Now the ocean is big. Okay, I'll be the first to admit that. But they have transponders on them. They have black boxes. There should be a way to find them.
Yeah, and if you haven't heard of it, there was 239 passengers on board of this flight.
Yes, there was. There's a whole bunch of stuff involved with this flight. If you dig into it, supposedly phones were sending JPEGs and other stuff from an airfield somewhere. Like some real interesting stuff. But they never did recover the plane. They never recovered the black boxes. And every man, woman, and child that was on the plane just completely disappeared. And it just shows that you can be lost on this planet, not found.
Yeah,
it's incredible, man. People go hunting in the woods, experienced hunters that know the terrain, and they just disappear. Like, not everyone is attacked by a bear or disappears themselves, because in that 600,000 number, all kinds of things could be possible,
Yeah. Like that one story we talked about a couple episodes ago where the guy was, he found himself, actually there was a couple of stories, but one where he found himself in an alien craft with elk. Like
yes.
it had taken them all aboard the ship.
Yeah, the hillbilly hunter was like, they took my elk. He wanted to hunt them. Yeah.
And then there was a story of
I
can't remember his name, but he had the marks on his chest. Anyway, it was there's a lot of stories like this where people have strange encounters, and there's no telling what happens to them, to be honest.
Yeah, I do believe that the truth is going to be stranger than fiction for some of these folks that have absolutely disappeared. But it's not just like the airlines where a whole bunch of people go missing at the same time. This has happened throughout history, as a matter of fact. Um, one in specific incident was in 1941. Let me get to where I'm trying to get here. Go ahead, Sierra.
Can I jump in while you're
Yeah.
looking at that? All right, Miss Kalina. So, this website I'm looking at says the average age of missing people is 43.6.
Wow.
Gender ratio, male 55% and female 45%.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, I wouldn't have guessed that.
But okay, so it's called The Mystery of the Celtic Wood, refers to the apparent disappearance without a trace of 71 men. This is back in World War I. 71 men of the 10th Battalion of the 1st Australian Division during a diversionary attack on Germans, meaning there was a main offensive and they were going to flank them. And they were sent off into a fog. All 71 men were never found, were never accounted for. 71 men ran off to go fight the Germans, and they were not POWs because the Australian government inquired. You know, they were going to trade Germans for their men. They wanted them back. There was never a mass grave. There was never POWs, and the Australian government do not know where they went. It was during the Battle of Palakapelli. I'm not going to say that correctly. And it was the 9th of October in 1917 in the First World War.
Wow.
So, you know, even being in a group doesn't make you immune to disappearances.
Right.
It's extremely interesting.
Yeah, that's crazy. And you know, those guys, they're kept well accounted for, and it wasn't like they just wandered off and got lost because they knew. Yeah, these are specialized at doing
soldiers.
what they were doing. Yeah,
You know, I
they're
can
soldiers.
see it in my head that they just wandered into a cloud and poof.
Yeah, I mean, you could. I could completely understand. You know, a couple of them making it back, like they went to flank them, and they got, you know,
in the skirmish, a couple escapes.
Yeah, man, and most of them got wiped out. You know, end up in a mass grave or something. But none of these things were ever found out, and Germany did not account for them and said they never got them. So, or they never captured them as POWs. It's a very, very interesting story, but like I said, this even goes back even further. Like there was a 5,000 people disappeared during the Roman Empire.
Right.
Like way back, I think it's Caledonia or Macedonia. What does it say here? It's the 9th Legion's mysterious loss. There was let's see, I'm just going to read this to you real quick. One of the most enduring legends of Roman Britain concerns the disappearance of the 9th Legion. The theory that 5,000 of Rome's finest soldiers were lost in the swirling mists of Caledonia as they marched north to put down a rebellion forms the basis of a film, The Eagle. It says, it's easy to understand the appeal of stories surrounding the loss of the 9th Legion. A disadvantaged band of British warriors inflicting a humiliating defeat. But basically, they don't know what happened to these people. Now, 5,000 people is enough to start a colony of your own.
Yeah.
So, but they marched off into the woods and hills of Caledonia and never were heard from again. That's 5,000.
That's 5,000 people just to decide, hey, let's leave this behind and start a different like, no, like that's too much. So like something weird. Yeah, that's just a weird story.
Yeah, it's very strange, man. I'm not saying that 5,000 people magically vanished, but it's very interesting that you could lose track of that many people, like, and not know what happened. Because I imagine being a deserter, if you were part of the Roman Empire, wasn't a good thing.
I'm
I
sure they
imagine
didn't
you.
look at that lightly.
Yeah, absolutely. You might be more scared of desertion
Yep.
than of the battle ahead, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, like, dude, this isn't just I mean, like you were saying, it happened in World War One with the Australians. So there's probably a bunch more stories that you don't even get to hear about. Because I mean, like how they disappear.
Yeah.
You're not
Like,
gonna
well,
hear
how
about it.
many villages out there are untouched by today's society, by today's technology, that they have their own thing going on that we'll never know, like,
Yeah,
and one thing that I think of, I guess, is when one person goes disappearing under strange circumstances. It's weird and it's a little brain bending, but then you have multiple people just disappear with no trace, nothing. It's just
Well, like the Malaysian Airlines flight, there was no panic radio call trying to give you any kind of insight on what may have happened in the cockpit or over the ocean when disaster struck, or if it was intentional. We don't know. Um, but we don't know a lot about a lot of these things. I'm going to share one thing real quick. The last episode we went into UFOs and alien encounters quite deeply, but this fits as well. This is a man that disappeared. He had over 130 hours of flight training. He was a 20-something-year-old Australian man, and he was going on a routine flight. He was going from the mainland of Australia off to this little island, and he ran into trouble along the way. Now, the interesting thing about this disappearance is that we have audio of exactly what was going on in the plane right before it went down, right before it disappeared, or whatever happened to this guy. Let me bring up a picture of him real quick, and I'll read you his story. And then I'm going to have you listen to his air traffic control transmissions. Yes. Let me go ahead and share my screen real quick. I believe that one's it. Yeah. Oh, I had the wrong thing up, as always. It's all right. I got to drag this over here. We got it. Give me just a second.
patience,
Okay.
people.
That's right.
We'll make it.
I think
Okay.
you say his
we
last
go.
name Valentic.
Valentic?
I think so.
Okay. Well, let me show you a picture of this this nice young man, Frederick Valentic. 1958, disappeared the 21st of October, 1978. He had about 150 total hours of flying time and held a Class 4 instrument rating, which authorized him to fly at night, but only in visual conditions that he could see. If he couldn't fly just by instrument panel alone, I guess is what they're trying to say there. But he was an Australian pilot who disappeared while on a 125 nautical mile training flight in a Cessna over the Bass Strait on the evening of Sunday, the 21st of October of 1978. He was a 20-year-old Valentic. So this is his flight path right here. He was going from, I think the chat's covered a little bit. There you go. The flight path. He was leaving mainland Australia and he was coming right down here. That's where he was heading. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing that, and I'm going to share the audio I want you to play real quick. I think this is pretty cool. There's going to be a slight pause and delay, and then you're going to hear him in his transmission. It's quite interesting.
Lo-fi, sir, can I have you turn the background music down just a smidge, please?
And let me know when you're ready for me to hit play, Lo-fi.
Oh, go for it.
There we go. Check this out. It's interesting. Is it playing? Oh. There we go.
This is Delta Sierra Juliet. Is there any known traffic below 5,000 feet? No known traffic. Seems to be a large aircraft below 5,000 feet. What type of aircraft is it? I cannot confirm. It's four bright, seems to be like landing lights. The aircraft has just passed over me at least 1,000 feet above.
So just to iterate what's going on, he's calling into the radio traffic tower and he's saying, hey, there's something really big above me. Do you guys have any military in the area?
Any known aircraft at all?
Yep. So he's reporting on what he's seen.
Is there any Air Force aircraft in the vicinity? No known aircraft in the vicinity. Seems to be playing some sort of game. He's flying over me. Delta Sierra Juliet, it's not an aircraft, it's... Can you describe the aircraft? As it's flying past, it's a long shape. Cannot identify it, it has such speed. It's before me right now, Melbourne. How large would the object be? Seems like it's stationary. What it's doing right now is orbiting. The thing is just orbiting on top of me. It's also got a green light and a sort of metallic, like, it's shiny on the outside. It's just vanished. That strange aircraft's hovering on top of me again. It's hovering and it's not an aircraft.
It's hovering and it's not an aircraft.
And then that was his last transmission, and then he just poof.
Yeah, he disappeared from the radar, and they went and looked for him. They did not see any oil slicks on the water, and they never recovered him. They never recovered the plane. It's very interesting that the last transmissions was I see something crazy. Hey, Rudigs, enjoy Hawaii. But what do you think about that, Lo-Fi?
That's a chilling tape. I mean, that's a man's last words, and it's wow. I mean, they didn't find any kind of clues to what happened to him, and that kind of report coming back from someone who's trained to be in stressful. So you could hear he was keeping his cool.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah,
I think he sounded
imagine.
a little more perplexed. Like, what
Definitely.
is this?
Yeah.
Like,
He seemed inquisitive. He was trying to figure out what was sharing the same airspace that he did.
Right. He seemed to be clearly communicating his thoughts with them. But whoa.
Yeah. Grandpa Russ down there, he's got a comment. He says the Dragon's Triangle is the Dragon's Triangle by Japan, as the same as the Bermuda Triangle. Yes. That's absolutely correct.
I have never heard of that.
You haven't?
Not of the Dragon's Triangle. I have of the Bermuda, but not of the Dragons.
It's a triangle, just like the Bermuda Triangle. But there's a bunch of UFO or USO stories and a whole bunch of stuff. There was also a bunch of ships that have disappeared over there, and they believe one of their research vessels actually it got destroyed by like an underwater volcano or something. Like something crazy happened to it, if I'm recalling all that correctly. But there's also one in Alaska. There's an Alaskan triangle.
Really?
Yeah, where a whole bunch of planes and people have gone missing there as well.
Well, and Alaska is tough territory too.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't know what you're doing or have someone with you that does, you could be in trouble.
Yeah.
From what I've heard, I've never been there. So
the super interesting reports of people going missing are the ones where you're standing right next to somebody on a trailhead, you turn your back and you turn back around to make a comment, and they're gone. Like they vanished, literally. Those are the ones that are super compelling to me. Because obviously a bear didn't come swinging out of the trees like Tarzan and snatch you up,
Right.
Something else has got to be going on in those instances.
it's fascinating when people go disappearing with all of their effects. So, like, that guy disappeared with a whole plane. Like, planes aren't, like, even Cessnas, yeah, they're not your big plane, but
I raise you, Jeff. You may see dead gaming platforms. But you kill platforms as well.
No, not platforms, the games themselves.
Well,
Either way.
You kill enough games, you know.
No, but I mean, there's like, especially nowadays, you know, the government's more comfortable with talking about it. You got active duty pilots even coming forward and talking about what they've seen in the sky, and it's definitely not balloons that are just being blown around in the air.
No.
Now, whether or not they're alien, like from another planet, that's another story. I don't know, but I mean,
Well, you
at
got
this
to you
point,
got to
I'm
kind
open
of
to the possibility of it.
you got to kind of I'm stealing this from somewhere else, but you got to kind of think outside the box in a sense. And what I mean by that is like, be it aliens, an entity, whatever you want to call it, man. It doesn't have to be like what you would normally think, but it's like this. Something is observing us, man. Something is. Now, are they taking us? I guess that's another story. What it is another question all to itself. But while we're trying, like, if we go to and this is what I'm stealing from somebody else, but if you go to scientifically investigate a rat, well, the first thing that we anticipate is that we're smarter than the rat. So we take all kinds of precautions to hide ourselves from the rat, to build the maze to where they can't see us or perceive that we're there at all, so that we can see this rat and what they're doing in their natural environment, or as natural as we made it, and to try to, you know, get the correct data set we want from this rat. Well, who's to say that's not happening to us? While we're trying to figure out this rat, and we assume we're smarter, and we're making sure that this rat doesn't know us or is aware of us, we could be a rat in another maze. We could be like,
Yeah,
and
We're the petri dish.
yeah, you know, like, so many people go missing, and a lot of them are found, and a lot of them can be linked to murder, sex trafficking, all kinds of stuff for why people disappear. But the main number isn't what really interests me. It's the smaller subset of number that does not have an explanation, or a decent one. I find it really, really, really fascinating. David Politis does a great job at the Can-Am Missing Project. He is a great Canadian. I'm surprised Jeff doesn't know him. But he investigates a lot of these missing people cases. He does not give you theories, because he doesn't know what the hell happened to some of these people. But what he can tell you is that it wasn't standard means that took them out. It wasn't a bear. There was no predation. There's no scat. There was no blood. There was
Torn
nothing.
clothing.
Yeah,
or-
torn clothing, anything. And sometimes when people go missing and then their bodies are found later, like people that have died of exposure or whatever, sometimes their bodies are found in areas that have been heavily searched before. So their body wasn't there when they originally searched. Just incredible stuff like that, man. And it's great when people are found. Sometimes they come back with weird stories. There's been children that have disappeared, and they were in a national forest. They disappeared. They found them like really far away from where they should have been, and from the search area. And sometimes they'll talk about a cabin that they went in to get warm and ate food, or somebody they met. And you go back and look, and there is no damn cabin in the national forest. There's no house. Like, some of these things are extremely, extremely
some Blair Witch sounding, you know, like, yeah.
yeah, like, how could a building just appear in the forest for a kid to get warm in? Like,
Yeah, Hansel and Gretel.
How
you're
can
right.
how can a 6-year-old survive in the woods for multiple days with horrible weather and not have a single scratch on them, not be malnourished,
Well, yeah.
you know, like, and the instances where they do find like like that one young boy who was lost in the mountains, and they found his shoes like way up high on a rock ledge where there was no way
He could have got up there.
he could have got up there. And they found his shoes like a year after the initial search, and they were in pristine condition.
Yeah.
No scuffs, no scrapes. It's like they were just set there right on the rock.
Yeah. So if you think, like, what she's basically getting at is, let's say that this little boy was killed or attacked by a mountain lion. Well, the mountain lion would have to drag the kid up there, up the mountain, and the shoes would get scuffed, and it's
Well, the shoes would have started to degrade
Yes,
sitting out in the elements
true.
for a year. So
that too. But it's
and
almost like these people are entering into a time warp. It's almost like flight, 370.
they blip in and they blip out.
Yeah, they blip in and they blip out, man. What do you think could be possibly going on, LoFi?
Maybe like wormholes.
Hey, there's an idea.
Portals.
It's true, man. People have recorded portals.
Well, and it's,
The rabbit hole goes deep on all these subjects.
I guess I shouldn't joke too much, but like every now and again, it gets really foggy in our state.
Oh, yes.
And so like I joke with William about how like, oh, that's horror movie fog, or I'm like, oh, that's the kind of fog you drive into and end up underneath a dinosaur. You know what I mean? Like I shouldn't joke too much, I don't want to tempt fate. I don't want to end up somewhere I can't get back home.
Or like that Stephen King movie, The Mist.
Yep.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
bro,
where,
it's
like-
thick.
Yeah.
But it's just you never know. Like, and there's so many handfuls of stories of people who just blip in somewhere real quick and then blip back. How many of them, how many instances is it that they blip in but they can't blip back?
Or like, that makes me think of John Teeter, of course, the time traveler. Is that real? Is it fake? Is it, and it's one of those things like where like when somebody comes forward is like, oh, hey, that was me. I did this.
Well, and I definitely think as humans,
never really know, though.
We can't close ourselves off to the possibility of things happening that we don't understand.
That's true.
I mean, we close that door, we become so close-minded, like we miss so much of the world around us, like we lose part of that being in tune with the universe. And
don't ever take for granted you could be that rat in the cage or in the maze. Like, if an intelligent species, whatever, man, wanted to come and investigate us, why wouldn't they do it like we do it? When we look at a squid, we automatically assume we're smarter than that squid and then go about to investigate it.
It beat us at our own game.
I mean,
or they probably got a like levels deeper, better game than we're playing.
Yeah. And
thank you, Ray.
And not only that, but how many tests are in motion? Are the people that are watching us be the rat in the cage, or they a rat in the cage too, and they don't know it?
Well, and
I mean, it could
Inception
stack.
Cage.
Yeah, Inception. It could stack, bro. It could.
We all have to answer to a higher boss, I guess.
Right.
But there's a whole bunch of disappearances that have no explanation. Amelia Earhart, for example.
Oh yeah.
Dive into that one.
Up.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure everybody's familiar with Amelia Earhart. If you're not, she was an aviator, a woman, the first woman aviator, I guess, right?
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure.
Her navigator, Fred Noonan.
She was the first woman to fly around the world, right? Wasn't she?
Was
the
trying.
First time?
She was trying to go around the world. What she was doing? She was the first to fly across the Atlantic.
Gotcha.
Yeah, the first woman to.
First woman to do something like that.
But she was going to be the first woman to circumnavigate the globe in her plane.
Yeah, she vanished during her attempt.
Yes, she had to make all these pit stops because her you're talking about technology that wasn't up to snuff for what she was trying to do. Really.
Yes.
But with all the stops, if nothing went wrong, she could have done it. But
Well, and
something went wrong.
there are a couple theories out there as far as she crashed, but she was able to kind of like escape somewhere. And didn't they say they found parts of her plane a couple years ago or something like that?
There's an island out in the Pacific where they believe her plane crashed. Supposedly they found a piece of it, and supposedly they found a piece of her. But all that has kind of been debunked. But the theory is still out there. But here's the thing. So she disappeared. Nobody knows where she went. Some people thought she could have crashed and washed up on a Japanese island and got captured, maybe being held as a spy during that time. But those things supposedly didn't happen. But what Sierra was referring to is, I forget the Canary Island, or there's an island out in the Pacific where they believe that her plane wreckage went down, but on low tide, the tip of the engine would be, or the front of the damn thing with all the electronics would be up out of the water, and she supposedly radioed for help for a little while, stranded on that island. But that isn't gospel either. They haven't confirmed that. But just one night she was flying. She was supposed to make landfall, and she didn't make it. And there was no radio for help. There was nothing. She just vanished with Fred Noonan.
Yeah. Well, I mean, also that reminds me, all this talk about the Bermuda Triangle, that flight where the dude like took off in 1 year and then ended up landing in like years later or something, or somehow he skipped the whole.
Yeah,
that's what it was. He skipped the middle part of his journey. Like somehow, it was like a 2-minute journey.
Yeah, what ended up happening is he saved a few, or like 100 gallons worth of fuel. He should have burned it, and he didn't. He flew into what he called electrical fog. Fog.
Back to the fog.
Yeah. And he said that it swirled around him, and it was like he was flying into a cone almost. And when he popped out the other side and the fog quit interacting with him, when he landed, he noticed that he had cut like 40 minutes off of his journey, and he had saved a bunch of fuel. And he doesn't understand how that happened. It was almost like he went into a wormhole, or he time traveled, or that electric fog created something. Now, there's also reports of this was after World War I. A guy flew over an airfield, and he saw it was different color, and they had different planes down there and all that stuff. And he flew around. He got a good look. He landed, told everybody about it. And then 25 years later, the base was painted. It was reopened. It was painted with that color, and they had the planes that he saw that day. He basically took off. He did a lap, and he saw into the future. He didn't land and stay there. He saw it, and when he made it back, he told everybody what he saw. But what he saw wasn't there at the time. It was actually like 15 or 20 years later, the base was repainted, reopened.
Oh, yeah.
And there's all kinds of incredible stories like that.
Can I jump in real quick and just say thank you guys who are all tuning in? We appreciate you.
Yeah.
My sister and my niece are at home watching.
And hey, what's up, guys?
She says that Charles says that she loves you and misses you too very much. So thank you guys for joining us this evening. We appreciate you. And if you have heard of any stories that we haven't covered, or if you have any kind of anything related to this, jump in the chat and share with us. We like to share, and we like to hang out, and yeah.
I got Go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, do you guys have anything that y'all wanted to y'all got coming up this week? that you wanted
Jimmy
to talk about?
Hoffa.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, there.
Now that's a disappearance, but I think we all
Yeah.
know what happened to that
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he got disappeared is what happened to him.
That's right.
I often say if I could travel through time, I wouldn't want to like participate in that time. I would just want to like hover over that time era and just watch everything like it's a slideshow.
Bro,
You know, I want to
Like a
know.
TV show or something. Yeah,
I
you're
want
just
to
a
know what
spectator.
happened to Jimmy Hoffa. I want to know what the heck is going on Oak Island. Like, what's underneath of the island?
what would be
You know?
what would be very, very interesting, and some people think that UFOs are us from the future, and if it is, then they're coming back to watch for whatever reason.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. That's so cool though. But yeah, Jimmy Hoffa though, I'm sure he swam with the fishes, man. Man.
Yeah, he might have. I don't know. I don't know. He might be in the foundation of some building somewhere.
He could be, man. He could be. A giant stadium. I heard
yeah.
that.
But
Yeah.
the world is crazy. The truth is stranger than fiction.
Yeah. I'm going to read his story real quick, though, for those of you that
Sure.
don't know. Savvy, smart, and no nonsense. Jimmy Hoffa started off as a union organizer and by 1958 had climbed the ranks to become the president of the Teamsters, the largest labor union in the United States. It was widely known that many of the Teamsters' dealings were deeply corrupt. Yeah. Mob money. He was avidly pursued by federal authorities, whom he managed to evade until 1964, when he was sent to federal prison for jury tampering and a host of other crimes. Even from behind bars, it seemed that Hoffa succeeded in controlling the Teamsters' activities. He was released in 1971 under the condition that he would steer clear of union activities. On July 30th, 1975, Hoffa went into a restaurant in a suburban Detroit for what is thought to have been a meeting with Teamster officials. He was never seen again and was legally declared presumed dead in 1982. His remains, one of the most compelling mysteries disappearances of the 20th century.
Yeah, definitely want to know what happened to him.
Oh, hashtag media guys says great show, guys. No disappearing stories, but I have thought about how glad I am the UFO we saw didn't come back for us, so to speak. Only saw him once. Ooh.
Well, and you know, like where we live is a vast open space of nothingness. And we've often had the conversation on our way home from a trip somewhere like, you know, what would you do if you saw a UFO in the distance? Or like, what would you do if you saw one come down on the road ahead of us? And my answer is certainly not go say hi.
Right. Just like, hey, how's it going, guys?
Okay.
Yeah.
Want Netflix and chill?
I've got one more story that I want to share with you. Have you ever heard of the man from Torrid?
That sounds familiar.
And there's a reason I'm bringing this up, because these people are disappearing. Where are they going? And if they are going somewhere, has anybody arrived here from there? It may sound stupid, but the man from Torrid, sometimes referred to as the Torrid mystery or the man without a country. It says it's an urban legend about a man who arrives at a Japanese airport. So this guy, supposedly, he pops into an airport, and he has a passport that is basically counterfeit. Like, it's from a country that doesn't exist, the country of Torrid. He's got money in his pocket. His driver's license is from Torrid. All this stuff. They take the guy, they hold him for questioning, and he disappears. It's one of those types of stories. Have you heard that one before, LoFi?
Yeah. And didn't he have like currency on him or something?
Yeah. The story of the man from Torrid begins quite specifically in many sources with a hot day in July in 1954. A man was said to have arrived at Haneda Airport, Tokyo International Airport. The man has been described as Caucasian with a beard, whilst his primarily language is said to have been French. Accounts claim that he spoke Japanese and many other languages as well. So far, there is nothing unusual in the narrative. I am knowing all the languages.
Right.
But yeah, so he basically he came from a country that didn't exist. He got agitated when he was shown a map of the geography. Like he couldn't find Torrid on the map and point it out to him. It was a very interesting story. Very well could be urban myth, folklore. But it's one of those that always gets my mind thinking about, you know, when people happen to disappear like that. Like, where are they going? Are they transferring over somewhere else? Are they walking through a door?
Do they
somebody leave a window open?
Do they automatically blip back like it's that universe, so to speak, repairing itself because they know that there's...
Well, like the people that disappear and are found dead later, but they're found in a place that was heavily searched. Maybe they did blip out, die from exposure, and then blip back.
Went to the upside down, huh?
Yeah,
dude.
As above, so below.
I'm just saying, man. It sounds absolutely ridiculous, but I think the truth is going to be stranger than fiction in a lot of these cases. Amelia Earhart could have just been, faulty equipment, trying to do something the machinery wasn't up to. Very, very, very possible.
She was trying to cloud game with the 56K modem.
Yeah, you can't. You need better than dial-up. You know what I mean? But then you get into the stories where multiple people go missing at once, and it becomes compelling, and it's a little frightening. I don't think I'm going to go hang out in national forests or,
Yeah, that kind of stuff is kind of ruined for me now. Like, I stick with what I know, and we won't go near any granite fields or anything like that.
Like the only thing, if I disappear, it's going to be in the RV. Go look for the RV. It's big. You'll find me in that, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Life is crazy, man.
It absolutely is. The lost colony of Roanoke was over 100 settlers. Now, it's not guaranteed that they passed or were taken in some way, but I do find it interesting that years later there was some sort of narrative that some Indian tribes had some different genetics. It would be nice to think that they were absorbed into a tribe and the whole colony wasn't subjected to death,
Or did they awaken the Sasquatch?
Hey, now. Sasquatch is a completely different topic, bro. But you brought it up, though, man. What do you think of Sasquatch?
Sasquatch?
We'll do a whole show on that, but
I think it's an interesting topic. Like, there's no way for instance, dude, we know less about the ocean than we do about space.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, we don't.
Yeah. Well,
there's so much out there we don't know about.
For the people that say that Bigfoot is an impossibility, it really upsets me a little bit. Not that you don't believe in Bigfoot or anything, but just that I watched a damn documentary, Walking with Cavemen. They're all fucking Sasquatch.
Yeah.
Dude, go watch
definitely
Walking with Cavemen. They're all Sasquatch, bro. It just that blew my mind. But like Lucy, she's basically a Sasquatch. Definitely wasn't. You wouldn't walk up to her and be like, "Whoa, you want a date?" You'd be like, "What is that?" It wouldn't be human,
Yeah.
But anyway, just that. The reason I think it's at least to put a pin in it, and we'll discuss it later. But when you're walking through the forest and you see a large upright that looks like an ape walking around, man, and it's not an orangutan, and you're not at the damn zoo, something's up with that, man. Too many people have said they've seen it for it not to be true. So But you can go off and look in the woods with thermal and have drones fly around and not ever see anything.
Well, and there's
something going on there. Either they're seeing through, the veil is really thin, they're seeing back in time.
Right.
Maybe they're seeing through
Because
to another dimension.
There's like legends of skinwalkers, Wendigo. I mean, the list goes on. There's something more to it. There's definitely something that we're not seeing, that we're unable to see, or something.
Yes, the natives call it the spiritual world, but science can quantify it a little bit.
Yeah.
Alternate dimensions. I'm serious. They can quantify it a little bit. What it is, I don't know, but like, I do not think Sasquatch is a giant being like a bear that eats, sleeps, poops, and mates in the woods. I don't buy that, or we could find it. I don't care how smart
Do
it
you
is.
think it's something a little more like maybe supernatural?
It's got to be. It's got to be. But if, like you mentioned, portals, if these things can enter a portal and walk through and then go back to the other side to be gone from our
right,
so we can't perceive it, then maybe you can stumble through the woods and stumble yourself through the same portal, be on their side and not know how to get back. Like the band,
maybe that's where the
band
Legion disappeared too.
Like the band of light that we can perceive and the radiation our eyes pick up is very minuscule. There could be something standing right next to me right now, and if it just wasn't in the correct wavelength, I wouldn't even see it. I could bump into it, you would think, but I wouldn't be able to see it. It's very interesting when you're looking at multiple dimensions and the way how some of it's supposed to work. Like, it's really hard to wrap your mind around. It's very much like numbers. I can think of 1,000. I can think of 100,000. Can't quite wrap my mind around 1 billion or 1 trillion. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Like to picture it. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, we have 4 minutes left, everybody. And Lo-Fi, I want to give you a chance to give a huge shout out to what's going on this weekend, sir.
Oh man, guys, if you don't know, you need to go check out Dad Plays Games channel.
Somebody.
Yeah, we're doing gaming for mental health, and it's the 24th through the 26th, so it's all day Friday through Sunday. There's gonna be tons of giveaways at each one of these streams. Be sure to stop and check them out, and there should be a link down in the description of the video, I believe. Let me check to make sure before I just say that. If there's not one, I will put one there. Yeah, come check out the streams. We're streaming for a good cause. Come donate some money. Come meet some new friends. Yeah, let's hang out.
I know what you're talking about, Ray. I've heard a couple of those stories. It's very interesting. We might have to put that in with the Sasquatch unit.
Oh yeah. Yeah, there's a whole lot of folklore around people being raised by animals or being raised by themselves, much like Mowgli from the Jungle Book. That didn't feral children. Matter of fact, there's black eye children. Those creep the shit out of me. Supposedly, if they knock on your door,
don't let them in.
That's right.
Do not let them in. Yeah.
That's amazing. Real quick before we go, I'm going to give you guys just a few to look up yourself if you want. Al-Hakim was a 10th and 11th century ruler from Fatimid dynasty. Go check him out. Edward V of England, he disappeared. Solomon Northrop, look him up. He disappeared in 1808. Ambrose Bierce, this dude disappeared in 1913. Just so many, man. So many unsolved, mysterious disappearances. Not all of them have the boogeyman or a UFO waiting to pick people up and abduct them, but it is certainly interesting when all the variables, get condensed down, and you can start excluding stuff, like animals, like exposure, stuff like that,
Yeah. Well, I just dropped a link in chat if anybody's interested in donating or seeing what's going to be happening here. There's a lot more information.
Definitely check that out, you guys. Mental health is important.
It's very important.
It's things can be hard sometimes, but you know.
Yeah, we all go. It's something. It's a shared experience. We all go through it. So
Absolutely.
some of us it's a little different than others. You know.
Oh,
But,
I can't click that link. I'll
Oh,
have
it's
to
not a
check
clicky
that
link?
out. The
Let
Blue
me,
People of Appalachia.
oh,
Appalachia, they've got some one-tooth banjo picking, moonshine sipping, wonderful folk. Appalachia has a vast, very rich history. I'll put it that way.
I'm looking at them right now. And those are
Also,
some,
another one of those wildernesses
some blue
that
people.
you just get lost in. Though.
Some blue people. Well, even in the I'll save that for the cryptid show. Never mind. I was gonna talk about the Hobbit, but I won't.
Oh, well, guys, you heard it. Little sneak peek right there. Little oh, spoiler alert. There will be a Hobbit in the next episode. But
Go
yeah,
from Hobbit to Sasquatch. It's
yeah.
quite the
Proud feet.
You guys want to do any shout outs before we take off?
Oh, just I'll be streaming tomorrow for charity. So pop in there. I'll be doing some Among Us. You'll be able to at 12 CST, PM CST. So you'll be able to play on your phone, a tablet, a computer, whatever you got. Among Us will almost play on a baked potato.
Yeah,
we'd
and
love
even
to-
if you don't want to play, come and hang out. Just it's a ton of fun.
Absolutely. Yeah, and no, there's if you can't donate, that's fine. Share the stream out if you can. We would just love to have you participate. So come on down.
Come
Yeah,
hang
most
out.
definitely.
I just want to shout out to both of my co-hosts here. I think you guys are pretty awesome. And shout out to the chat. Like, we appreciate you guys so much. And it's awesome that you come spend some of your time with us. And we appreciate
Definitely.
you. You know, stay safe out there. This world is a crazy place. And
Get a GPS or a personal locator. If you go hunting or you like going to the national forest, definitely get yourself a personal GPS locator.
Hell yeah.
They can save your life. Trust me.
Hell yeah. And oh yeah, I almost forgot. I'm gonna be on Cloudy Thoughts tomorrow night with Purple Haze. She'll be back on the show. So
Ooh, awesome.
Anyway.
Nice.
Yeah. So we're gonna head out of here, guys. So appreciate everybody for jumping in, and we'll see you next time. Peace out.
Bye.